So let's talk Chinese radios. Please understand to start off with that this is out of more so fact than it is necessarily practicality. How you use it, it's up to you, but I'm going to tell you what is kind of in the letter of the law, so to speak. So both the Baofeng radios, the TID radios, they might be a little bit different. I haven't had a chance to play with them yet. And many of these other kind of Chinese cheap radios that I've seen a lot on TikTok here about. They are very cheap. They are a good way to get started with ham radio, especially. However, they are a ham radio. They are not a GMRS radio. They are not a, hey, you buy it and use whatever frequencies are on it radio. They are a ham radio. It is meant for ham radio operators because it is not frequency locked. It is not pre-programmed. In fact, it is not set up properly for GMRS. That is not to say that they cannot be programmed to be used for those particular sets of frequencies. So, but now that's out of the way, and this is as per FCC rulings, etc. This is not, you likely could get fines if caught, but you have to get caught. There, that's out of the way. Now let's talk more detail about them. Because I've seen some ads out on here saying, oh, I use it with my fire department. Well, I highly doubt that. Because if you got two people within close proximity to each other, one person is not going to hear the other. How do I know this? We do this stuff. We do a lot of radio events. I've talked about them on this particular channel. We have for person on one side of the intersection and the other person on the other side of the intersection. One has a Baofeng, one has a Yaesu, ICOM, you name it, whatever radio. They are sitting there transmitting into the repeater, hey, blah, 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 whatever the communication is. Their partner can't hear them. On the radio, they can't hear them. Why? Because the person transmitting here is drowning out the what we call the front end of the radio, preventing them from hearing anything, because it's just washing out everything and it's not receiving, because it's so wideband receive. It hears so many signals, it gets confused. I hope that's the best way to describe it. I'm sure a couple of people will probably duet me and clarify otherwise. But anyway, so these radios are not great at receiving. When I first got my Baofeng radio, I had it sitting in my car, and as I'm driving to town, because you want to monitor repeaters, right? And it just started getting this little burst of static all the time. Well, I finally got my one good radio. I did the exact same experiment, never heard a thing. So this radio is sitting there just getting, RF signals from your car, RF signals from around you, and just once in a while it just breaks that squelch because it's hearing all this information. Where I'm trying to go with this is, if that was the only radio I had, life and death situation, life or death, whatever, you know what I mean. Yeah, I would totally grab it. I would totally use it. But if I was prepared, if I was planning ahead, I would not trust that thing with my life. Because I cannot trust that the person that hears me, that I can hear them back. Because that's the other part of that I have not talked about yet, is sensitivity. So radio has kind of different parts to it. And what we call the front end contains different things, including filters, which kind of narrows down what it can hear, and then also sensitivity to get those weaker signals. So it's great if you're 100 feet away or maybe 100 yards away, you can talk to each other reasonably well. But if you're 2 miles away, my good radio will probably hear you. My Baofeng HT probably won't. And I have a perfect experiment or perfect analogy for you. I've talked about this radio. It's a TYT TH7800. Has been in my truck forever. So I have a scanning all the time, and I went shopping with it on. I took my new Motorola radio along just to play with it to see how it worked in the car. I was sitting on the seat of my truck. Now, tall seats, horrible place for receiving any RF. But I was sitting there on, and all of a sudden I was leaving the Walmart, and I heard talking. It's like, what's that? Oh, it's my HT. I looked, turned to the frequency on my radio. With an external antenna, 50 watts, I could not hear them. Period. Plain as day, solid signal on the HT. I don't know why I keep doing that because whatever. So that is sensitivity. The Motorola radio that I have can receive that much signal. So it can hear from, I don't remember the frequency ranges. Let's just say 1.44 megahertz to 1.48 megahertz. That's all it hears, is all it can hear. It is like looking at it down a scope of your rifle, and it's just pinpointing that one little segment of RF, and it can really receive that very well. On top of that, it has a little better receiver on it, so it can hear those weaker signals to make sure that you have that communication. Your Baofeng is like looking through iron sights. You can see the entire world around you, and you are picking this one little point, but because your eyes are focusing on everything, it's hard to necessarily target exactly what it is that you're trying to point at. And not a great analogy, I understand, but the point being is that one targets just a tiny little area, but your Baofeng looks at the whole world and says, oh, I want this one little thing, but by the way, this strong signal here, the strong signal here is confusing it and making it so it can't narrow down that one little tiny point. So to the people saying the fire department uses it, sure, maybe there's some fire departments that use it, but it's likely not the primary radio. And if they are doing life or death communications because of it, they are not thinking ahead. I have heard of some volunteers who use it outside of work, so they are also monitoring at that time. But that is not their primary radio. They are scanning or they're just monitoring. Public safety don't use it at all. They're using the high-end Motorola, Harris, Kenwood radios that are designed for public safety use, that are designed for government use, that are designed to be transmitted in 24/7 and stay solid. So as you're thinking about your radio purchases, consider this information. It's not that they don't work. It's not that they are horrible radios. I already said they are decent for starting out. But as you get experience, as you say, yes, this is a hobby for me, now you go spend your $100 and you get the Yaesu, I think FT70 might be $150, but there's one right at about $100 range. That is still a cheap radio that gets you into the hobby. And then you can slowly build your way up from there. And I hope this helps. This is not, again, this is to educate you about your radio purchases in the future. So 7-3.